What's up, guys? My name is Nate. This is Subaru Only. Behind me, I have a Hyundai Elantra N. Let's check it out. Okay, so here we are in front of this Elantra N. Look how aggressive this front end looks, especially with these headlights. All right, so let's go ahead and get into some of the specs on this awesome track car here. Okay, so the Elantra N is one of the two performance vehicles offered by Hyundai. The other one's going to be the Kona N. So MSRP for the Elantra N is $35,515. The engine is a 2-liter turbo GDI 4-cylinder engine. And as far as the transmission, it has an 8-speed wet dual clutch. It is front wheel drive. It has 276 horsepower and it puts out 289 foot-pounds of torque. And it is claimed to go 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds. And it has a top speed of 155 miles per hour. So as you can see, it kind of looks like a regular Elantra from the outside and nothing special, but you are wrong. However, it still maintains its awesome MPGs. So in the city, it gets 20. On the highway, you can achieve up to 30. And then combined, you get 23 miles per gallon, which is pretty crazy. All right, so let's go ahead and make our way back up here to the front. And let's talk about these looks here. All right, so let's go ahead and start with the hood. Look at these contours. You can kind of see them from this angle. They come down here and then another one in the center there. I think that looks really, really good. I'll see if I can get another angle here. Of course, this one is in black. Hyundai claims that it is phantom black. It's just black. I think it looks really good, but I think it would look better in more of a satin color. And then we'll take a closer look at these headlights as well. I love this split design that it has here. That looks really nice. Hyundai badge there. An N badge here. Your turn signals are going to be here. I wish those were LED to really match this beautiful look here. You do have some venting on the side there. And then, of course, on the center here as well. And since this is an Elantra N, you're going to get this red kind of racing styling there on the bottom lip. And it does have a decent look to it. And the lip is pretty big as well. Then you are going to have some fake styling for some of the venting up front as well. I don't really mind it. Move on to the side here. Let's look at this side profile here for a second. And look how low this car is. Again, this is Hyundai's track car, so it's supposed to be very low body roll as well. I mean, there is about, I don't know if I can stick my fingers in there. There's 2 fingers I can't even fit in there. That's wild. And of course, it's wrapped in these Pilot Sport 4S's. Super nice tires. What do you think about these wheels? I really love them. I really love this look. There's your N. You have some performance brakes on there. Your rotors are not slotted. So N for Hyundai, if you have not guessed by now, so it's essentially their performance, more aggressive, better styling type of trim. Then you do have an N side skirt there as well. Don't step on that. And then probably my favorite piece for this side styling here, if it can pick up on camera, is right about here. You have a triangle, almost like indentation, that gives the car a really nice dimension. Again, if it was in a different color, or if it was satin or matte, I think it would look so good. And then so as we look at these mirrors here, we do have LED indicators on here. They're pretty standard. They don't fold or anything like that. And then you do have your blind spot monitoring there as well. You have some handles here for your lock and unlock. Your rear windows only roll down to this small section here, which is pretty interesting. Then you do have some styling here. And then you also have a moonroof, sunroof there as well. And then looking at these rear wheels, they're also not ventilated. And then you do have performance brakes there as well. Looking at the rear, you have a nice spoiler for some downforce. I really love how they did that. You have your reverse camera there. Another Hyundai badge. And then this is how you'll open the trunk. You can just push this button here. Then you have an Elantra badge, as well as another N badge. And lastly, about this, you do have a pretty aggressive diffuser and some giant exhaust tips. They change the exhaust note depending on which drive mode you're in, which is pretty awesome. All right, so now let's go ahead and listen to the exhaust note on this thing. It has 4 different drive modes, all of which will change the exhaust note. After that, let's look at the engine. All right, so I have the hood popped here. Let's take a look at the 2-liter 4-cylinder. But first, let's take a look at where the engine is placed in relation to these wheels here. So it's just a little bit forward from there. And let's take a look here. N Turbo. There's your badge there. Pretty small engine, but it does put out a good amount of power. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the trunk space here. Of course, you do have 3 different ways that you can open up the trunk. Here, or here, and here. All right, so opening up the trunk using this button here, we'll go ahead and manually lift it. There is a decent amount of space in here. It does come with a cargo net. You do also have a first aid kit. And then since this is a track-oriented vehicle, you will have a rear chassis brace here as well. If you do want to pull down the seats, you'll have to use these levers here. It's just going to be one continuous bench seat, which I'll show you. And then there is the rear chassis brace. All right, so I have the doors open here on this track car. Let's see if you can fit all of your friends in here while you're whipping it around the track. Surprisingly, there is a good amount of room in here. My legs do touch the back of the seats. The front seats, by the way, are bucket seats and they are very firm. There is a decent amount of headroom. I maybe have about 2 inches or so. As far as the seat comfortability, they are comfortable. They do have leather and Alcantara on them as well. There's some nice brushed aluminum on the doors, as well as some suede Alcantara material as well. You do have a cup holder, some Bose speakers here, and then a small pocket there for next to your window controls as well. There is a sunroof, but you can't really see it from back here. And then you do not have a center armrest for cup holders or your arms. Let's go ahead and take a look at the front seats. All right, and so moving on to the front doors here, starting with this small little tweeter here. So it does have a Bose sound system. You do have some nice micro suede Alcantara material here as well. And then you do have some Porsche design here that looks pretty good. Nice door handle. All of your window controls and mirror controls there. A small little pocket here for some change. And then a very, very tiny water bottle down here. And then some more mesh over your Bose sound system there. So moving on into the vehicle, you do have an N sill here. brushed in aluminum, and then you also have your trunk controls and then your fuel door control. All right, and then moving on up, you have some alloy pedals, including the dead pedal there. You do have your trunk open button there, and some pretty cool floor mats by Elantra. Does have kind of a raised end there. Looks pretty good. And then looking at these seats, you have some manual controls here. Since this is a track-oriented vehicle, you want to save some weight. You have some leather and then Alcantara. And then as you come up, you have another 3 stripes there. And then you do have an illuminated N as well. And these are some pretty nice bucket seats. And then your passenger has the same thing, a nice illuminated N. Okay, and looking at the passenger door, this nice micro material here, once again, they do have window controls for themselves and then lock and unlock. And you have those nice speakers here as well. And then looking in, they do have a bucket seat. They have a nice grab handle as well, and then a small slot for some mail. And the glove box is pretty big. Looking in the center, we'll start with this console here, lift there. There's no USBs or anything inside. However, it does have a decent amount of space. You do have some cup holders here as well. Manual parking brake. Here is your shift lever. It has a pretty cool N on it. It does have some blue contrast stitching there as well. Then you also have your drive mode button here and your camera mode, which will pull up your reverse camera. And then you do have some USBs down below here, as well as a 12-volt adapter. With the car on, it'll display our AC controls here. This does have heated seats for the driver and the passenger. And then, of course, all of your AC controls, which works very well, I might add. And then just up above that, you have your engine start stop button here, maps, navigation, radio, media, and then you can adjust all of your tracks and then have a favorite button there as well. Your hazard light is just up above that. Starting out with this infotainment, so it is extremely responsive. I love this screen. This is primarily going to be the home screen. It does show some of your map here, and then it just has your weather and some other information there, as well as your time. The best thing to use on here is going to be the N mode right here, other than Apple CarPlay, of course. It'll actually give you some very interesting stats here if you are on the racetrack. So as I accelerate, you'll see certain things will change, which is pretty cool. And it also has another page as well. You can also customize this. So custom 1 in N mode is going to put on all of these things. So engine is going to be in sport, steering's in sport, suspension, transmission, all of your stuff is going to be there. This also has launch control as well, which you can activate or deactivate right there. And then some more performance options there if you want to customize it even further. For launch control, you can set specific RPMs that you want. You also have a shift light. You can add an alert sound if you want that as well. And power shift, you can activate that. And some other options, pretty cool. All right, so besides N mode on here, it's a pretty standard infotainment. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. You do have some pretty cool things though, like quiet mode. If you were to push quiet mode, it basically decreases the decibels of sound in the front seats for you. You also have valet mode. You can visualize your climate control if you want to. And then if you need to set up anything for the vehicle, just go ahead and push setup, and then you'll have vehicle, navigation, sound, all of that sort of stuff there for you. All right, so talking about this steering wheel now. So of course you have your Hyundai logo there in the center. Just down below, you do have an N badge there. This does have that blue contrast stitching on it as well. Looks very good. You do have some paddle shifters there. All of your volume and media controls, phone controls are going to be on this left side here. Then you're going to have all of the cruise control options and that sort of stuff on the right. And then this small menu button there is going to change what is in the center display right here. And then with these 3 buttons here, so these will change your different drive modes. You can also customize these in your screen as well. So here we have Eco, Normal, Sport. Now if I were to push this one, you can see this N is a little bit darker than this N here. So if I were to push this one, then now you have your N mode, and then you also have a little bit more information that is track oriented. And then if you were to push this button, so now you have N grin shift mode, which will basically add a little bit more horsepower and beef up the engine so you can get some better track times and some more power. Okay, so now let's go ahead and look at what this button does in N mode. We'll go ahead and push that, and then you can toggle here. So now you have your lap timer on the right there. You also have a G-force meter, and then tire pressure if I was moving. Go ahead and put it back to turbo and torque. Let's look at the other drive modes here. Push this. We'll go back over to Eco. And as soon as that goes away, we'll push here. And so you can see it's moving at the top there. And then some of those you can also change as well. Pretty cool. All right, and so lastly with this interior, we'll go ahead and look at the sunroof here. So you do have a manual shade, and then this does have the tilt option, and then of course you can also bring it all the way back as well. Lower it, and then it will auto open, and then auto close as well. Okay, so we're here in the Elantra N. Let's go ahead and take it for a drive. Currently I'm in eco mode. That is going to be one of the 4 modes in this vehicle. Obviously this mode is going to be the best for gas mileage and stuff like that. Surprisingly, it does have a good amount of pep, even in eco mode. It does have this red button on the steering wheel. If you were to push that button, hopefully you can hear that. The engine livens up a bit and gives you a little bit more power, which is pretty nice. So even if you're in eco mode and hey, man, I need to pass right now, go ahead, flip that on, and you're able to do it. Pretty cool. So I'm about to get onto the freeway right now. I'm gonna go ahead and switch it into sport mode, and we'll see how it accelerates. I'm gonna put it into N mode when I get into the canyon. We're gonna see how it handles and all that sort of stuff there. But we'll do a quick acceleration test, not from 0 since I'm gonna be merging. We'll see how it does. All right, here we go. So from about 15 miles per hour. And I'll shift. Oh my God. Wow, this thing is crazy. So it kind of reminds me of a Kia Stinger GT2, except I feel like it's faster. So I ran the Draggy on this vehicle, and I kept getting like 5.7, 5.8. My Stinger is faster than this, but it's also rear-wheel drive. This is front-wheel drive, but this feels like it's faster. This also has way less body roll. The seats are decently comfortable as well. They are bucket seats, so they're meant to be for the track. They're meant to hold you in. They're not meant to be comfortable, but I've driven this car on a 2-hour drive, and it wasn't too bad whatsoever. Towards the end, my back was a little weird, but I mean, I also work a lot, and my job is pretty demanding as well. So besides that, visibility is pretty good in this as well. It does have your cruise control features and stuff like that, your lane keep and steering assist and that sort of thing. Those work very well, and I noticed that you're able to drive with those on for about 3 minutes or so before the car will yell at you and say, hey, you know, put your hands back on the wheel. That is pretty cool. I know Teslas and a lot of other manufacturers, you pretty much have like 20 seconds, if that, maybe 30 seconds, and then it's already yelling at you. So let's go ahead now. I'm gonna put this thing into N mode. We'll take it into the canyon. I wanna see how it'll do on some of these curves. Okay, so we are in the canyon now. Let's go ahead. We're gonna put it into N mode here. Let's see how this thing does around these corners. Wow. You can tell right off the bat that this is exactly where this thing thrives, is in these corners like this. This isn't exactly a track surface or anything like that. It is definitely very bumpy and uneven. However, oh my goodness, it just handles so well. So this does have electronically controlled suspension as well, which is definitely going to help in each of these drive modes. Wow, those downshifts. Oh my gosh. This is one of those cars that you don't expect much from just because of the badge, but once you get into it and you see this and you feel how amazing this is for yourself. I haven't even used the N shift grin mode at all either. Frankly, I'm a little scared. Let's do it. Wow, this is so crazy. 40 miles an hour around this current turn here. Wow. What an amazing car. So it's taking all of these turns like nothing. There's such little body roll in this. The only thing I feel like is a little sketchy for me is that it's front wheel drive. I wish that it was all wheel drive. But I know this is meant to compete with the Type R, the GTI, the WRX. If I had a choice, I think I would be getting this just in a different color. All right, y'all. So this is the Hyundai Elantra N, and it is highly underrated. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Consider checking one of these out. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.